discussed this a couple of times over the last, year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point, that NASCAR have been looking into developing an electric vehicle. They actually unveiled the electric vehicle last year as well, so they already have a vehicle ready for this series. But the discussion has always been that they would probably introduce a new series. Like, it would be a whole new series, a fourth series for electric vehicles. I would compare it a lot to with the Formula One program. You got Formula One, you got F2, F3, F4, and then of course you have Formula E, the electronic Formula series. I always thought it was going to be something like that. At least that's how it's been described. But now it looks like that there has been discussions. Nothing is official. And I'm thinking with the way everybody is reacting, even Dale Earnhardt Jr., like a lot of people are reacting to this, that they're looking at having the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series car change into an electric vehicle body and it be an electric vehicle. So it would be essentially the O'Reilly Auto Parts EV series, I guess you could say. I think that would probably be what they would call it, as long as O'Reilly is still around, if they end up doing that. And I'm like two sides of the spectrum. Me personally, am I okay with an electric series? I'd say most NASCAR fans do not want to see an EV electric series. Me personally, as long as it doesn't take over one of our existing series, I'm perfectly fine with having a fourth series, because that just creates more racing, creates more opportunities for the drivers. This could potentially even help relationships with drivers and OEMs. I do think OEMs will do a lot more for this series compared to the other series at times, just because they're trying to develop the electronic vehicles and they want to be able to actually sell these EVs to customers. They'll probably be doing a lot of work to try to sell these EV electronic vehicles to people. So I could definitely see them putting a lot behind it so drivers can get more interactions with the OEMs and stuff like that. So overall, I think it would be a good thing to even add an EV series. But to turn the Busch Series, Nationwide Series, Xfinity Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, whatever you want to call it, turn that series into an EV series, I think is completely idiotic. I think you would lose a lot of your fan base. I think you'd lose a lot of teams. I think a lot of teams wouldn't want to be a part of that and back out. And then you're going to have a lot of new people come in and replace those teams that have nothing to do with NASCAR. That could be Formula One people, or I know the World Rallycross. They've been doing not the World Rallycross, but the Nitro Cross, Travis Pastrana's series. I know they do a lot of electronic stuff over there. So you might have you'd have some more people join in and replace those people. But then at that point, it's just a completely different series. It's a completely different series. And at that point, in my opinion, all the history that goes with the O'Reilly series would just cut off, in my opinion, at that point, if they would decide to do that. So that's why I'm all for them introducing a brand new series. And I do get some people's argument, because I have seen the argument made, well, this creates three completely different cars and helps the OEMs with selling cars, because then you have a truck, you have your normal street car with the Cup Series, and then you have an electronic vehicle with the O'Reilly series. That gets them more selling points for each of their type of cars. So I do get the argument when it comes to the OEM perspective. But to change the whole entire look and feel of the O'Reilly series, and like I said, overnight, it's going to be a complete change of a series if we do this. And at the same time, we're already struggling when it comes to viewership and when it comes to sponsors, when it comes to money and all that stuff. This could potentially kill the series. It could potentially. I don't think that would happen. I think NASCAR and the OEMs would figure out a way to keep it going for the time being if it was slow to start with. But if it gets up to a slow enough start that first year, not enough people are participating, it's pretty much going to look potentially like ARCA did a couple of years ago, when we were getting like 15 entries a week, 10 entries a week at some places, So I'm okay with having an electronic vehicle. I'm stumbling over my words here. I'm okay with having an electronic vehicle series, but not if it's going to replace the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. I'm not at all for that. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on this? Are you okay with having EVs in the sport And you kind of feel like me, where EVs, if they're going to be there, have their own sort of series? Or are you okay with them replacing the O'Reilly cars? Or do you not want electronic vehicles at all? I think this is a pretty big talking point. What are your thoughts on all this with the EVs?
Well, personally, I'm not a fan of electric vehicles at all. I mean, I'm probably the biggest proponent of them, and I will stand on that for the rest of my life. But I understand that that's where the world's heading, right? So if NASCAR wants to start an EV program, start an EV series, do all of that, good on them. But let's not mess with the things that the current fan base loves. I think we've already learned that the hard way. So let's
Yeah.
not make that worse. I mean, all of us, when it comes to racing, we love to see some polarity to it. We love to see the new makers involved. I mean, EV series can bring in Tesla, can bring in Rivian, can bring in all kinds of other different brands that are out there that we probably don't even know exist at this point, right? So that's not a bad thing. Getting different money pools in NASCAR, getting different sponsorships, all of that's definitely a positive thing. But do that on its own accord and don't mess with the good things we have going because it took a long time for NASCAR to get back to where it's at right now. And if you ask me, the O'Reilly series is the top one of all of them. It is the most entertaining series. It is the most watched series when it comes to my life and most paid attention to. So I will be personally devastated if they mess with it, and I think the rest of the fan base feels the same way. So just start your separate EV series, go that route. We'll accept it for what it is. You have different training, different sponsorships, all of that can come through, and then just leave what we have alone. There's no reason to mess with all that.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think it would just completely. I wouldn't necessarily say ruin the series, but I wouldn't be able to look like the series is just not going to be the same. It's not going to be at all the same. It's like if they came into the NFL and would be like, you know what? We're turning this into arena football. From now on, it's a 50-yard field. It's 50-yard field indoors. You got walls. You can go flipping over the walls. That'd be cool, right? You can flip into a fan or something like that. Would that be entertaining? Yeah. But guess what? That's not the NFL. That's arena football. That's not the NFL. You know what I mean? I think that's probably a pretty good comparison there. But we do see electronic vehicles becoming a big part of motorsport. I've sat down and watched a couple of Formula E races. Honestly, they're not bad. They're not bad. It's not bad racing. At times, it can actually be very entertaining. I'm not a big fan of the way they sound. It's like me. It's like I don't like the sounds that they make. It's like scratching against the chalkboard. I'm not a big fan of the sounds these electronic vehicles make over in the Formula E, but it's the way the world is going. It's a different form of motorsport. That's why I'm okay with having the EV series because you could bring in I didn't even think about that when I was talking before, but yeah, I could bring in a bunch of new manufacturers as well, like a Tesla. Some of these manufacturers that specialize in electronic vehicles and stuff like that. You could really bring in a lot more manufacturers. And then if they're quite fond of the electronic vehicle series, maybe they'll decide to make the big investment and develop a big engine and stuff like that to go cup racing or truck racing or something like that. But to replace the O'Reilly series as a whole, I think would be a very grave mistake. I think it would be a huge mistake, especially with all the viewership that we've seen, all the viewership issues we've seen with the Cup Series over the last couple of weeks. The O'Reilly series has gone up in viewership for the most part this year. It's actually looked really good with viewership. Truck series, for the most part, has looked really good this year as well. But the Cup series is where it's really, really struggling. And I'm not a fan of this. Like I said, I've seen both sides of the argument for sure. And I'm for an electronic vehicle series, but not to replace the O'Reilly series. But let us know your thoughts. We've talked long enough about this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about about electronic vehicles potentially being the new vehicle of choice for the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, potentially to be known as the O'Reilly Auto Parts EV series? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.